Here we go. Okay, your Wi-Fi connection is a little shaky, so I
Sorry.
don't know. No, no, that's okay. I don't know if there's anything you can do there with it, but okay.
I should be okay. But yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Just get this up. Okay, so an introduction to Indian classical music. So first we're gonna start off with the two like areas of Indian classical music. So Indian classical music is split up into two main like sectors. So we have Carnatic music. So Carnatic music is a form of Indian classical music that originated in the south of India. So places like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, etc. So like southern India. And it was developed in the late 12th century. It evolved from ancient Hindu traditions and was relatively unaffected by the Arab and Iranian influences that came a bit later. Yeah, Hindustani music, another form of Indian classical music. This originated in the north areas of India, just after the 12th century, as it diverged from Carnatic music. So in the medieval times, the melodic systems became fused with the Persian music through the influence of prominent Sufi composers. So an example is someone called Tansen, who lived at the time of if you've heard of the Mughals who ruled India over a period of time. So he lived in the time of Akbar, who is one of the most well-known Mughal emperors. So yeah, so that's two of the two sectors of Indian classical music, so Carnatic and Hindustani. So next, the basic framework of Indian music. So here I've created a table. So so the bits in black, what I understand is how the scale system of so like Western classical music. So it's a scale of 7 notes: tonic, supertonic, medium, subdominant, dominant, submedium, subtonic. And if you were singing it, I would there's the notation with do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. In Indian music, we have something very similar to this, but we replace it with different names. So, for example, we have do is sa. Sa is the short form of shabaj. Then we have re. Re is the same as re, so that's short for rishab. Then mi is the median. We call that ga, which is short for gandhar. Then we have fa, which is the submedian, subdominant, sorry. And this is in Indian classical music we say ma, so that this is short for madhyam. Then we have the dominant so, which is pa, pancham, so this is the middle note for us. And then we have the submedian la, which is short for dhava. Then we have the subtonic, which is T, and we call it Ni for Nishan. So it would go da re ga ma pa dha ni sa. It's the same as you would have like do re mi fa sol la ti do. So yes. Are
Cool.
there any questions before I continue?
Any questions, anybody, about that? Does that make sense?
Um, I'm just going to continue. So yeah, so like Western music, Indian music also has like a base scale or base framework. But with Indian classical music, we use these scales or the basis of these scales to form a melodic framework, which we call a rag. So an example of a sorry, I've gone right to the end. Sorry, give me 2 seconds.
That's okay. You're welcome.
um, okay, here we go. My apologies. Um, yes, here we go. So yeah, so an example of this is so all of the notes here are natural. So if we were to have like that base scale, all of them are natural. We would call this should, so like unchanged. And in Indian music, we can take this scale with just natural notes, and we can base all songs and compositions based off of this one scale of notes. So, for example, we would call this rag bilaval. So, yeah, we can make different compositions. We call them bandishes or kayals. So, we can have big bandishes, which are like big compositions, which we call bara kayal, and we can have smaller compositions, which are called chota kayal. But yeah, next, rhythm. Um, Indian classical music is centered around a system called tal, And a tal is like a cycle of beats centered around a sum, or the starting beat that continues to repeat itself. And whatever tal we do, and whatever composition our tal is written based on, I mean, yeah, whatever composition whatever tal our composition is based on, we have to make sure that each line has to start and end on at the sum. So, for example, we have a tal called teen tal, and we can present it by using clapping and our hands. So, for example, we have teen tal, and each individual beat within the cycle is called a matra. And to denote matras, we use our fingers, and to denote each like larger beat, we like clap or wave. So, for example, for beat tal, which is a type of tal, we would go so dha, dhin, dhin, dha, dha, dhin, dhin, dha, na, din, din, na, dha, din, din, da, dha. And that last dha denotes that we've gone back round. And each of these finger movements I was doing, this is called the matras, or the smaller beats. And each of the claps I was doing and the waves I was doing, these show how the dal is divided up. So it kind of makes it easier for us to understand. It also makes it easier for us to like to write compositions based upon this. And the process of using our hands is called the badhan. So like just like denoting on our hands. Are there any questions?
So I don't want to speak for you guys. I'm just curious. So this is kind of like an idea of an eighth note, quarter note pattern in our system a little bit that repeats.
Kind of. In your system, I would say, from my understanding, there are like different lengths of a beat. But then with our system, each beat has the same length, but it's the combination of beats that we put in a section. And so we can give them different words. So like dha or thin or like gutter. So even each of our beats are the same length, but because we're giving them like we're putting a sequence of these beats of like dha, din, na, and we're putting them into like a cycle, which means that our compositions can be structured around that cycle.
That's really
So
interesting.
I hope that answers your question.
So it's like a tape loop, really almost.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you,
Yeah. So dal is. Oh.
okay, we're good.
So am I okay? Yeah. So any other questions? Am I okay to continue?
No, did you check? Are you good? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, so with our rhythm, this system or concept of a cycle of beats or the tal is one of the fundamentals of both Carnatic and Hindustani classical music. Like it's one of the most important things, other than rag. And Western classical music does not have such complex beat cycles. But yeah, so now I'm going to show you some instruments that are used for rhythm and timekeeping that we have. So this first one is called a ghattam. This is used in Carnatic music predominantly, and it's kind of shaped like a pot, like a pot that you would see maybe in like Indian villages, which people use to like hold substances or food or water. And basically you hit the sides of the pot. And the shape and the size of the ghattam is what the pitch of the ghattam depends on. Then we have the mridangam. This is also a Carnatic instrument, and it's made out of like wood and leather mainly. So you would hold it like this. It's like an oval shape. You would hold it like this, and you would hit the sides, and like where the black thing is. So I don't know if you can see it. So like this thing, you would hit this side and this side. And to tune it, you would take a hammer and you would hit these like wooden pegs up and down to change the pitch. And it's very similar to another instrument called the pakwaj, which we are coming to. Then we have the pakwaj. Here we go. Again, it works almost exactly the same way as a mridangam. You hit the two sides with the black spots. So these in both mridangam and like pakwaj, these like these hit places where you hit is made out of mainly like leather or like parchment. Again, you also tune it by moving the pegs up and down. Next, we have the tabla. This is an instrument that is mainly used in classical, like Hindustani classical music. Again, you would hit the top parts of the drum, and again, you would tune by moving the pegs up and down with this hammer on the side. You normally keep it in the cushions so that it stays where it is. And yeah, what else? That's pretty much it about that. Then yeah, so now notating our music. So Indian music is largely an oral music form. So it's passed on by ear from teacher to student. So for example, when I also started learning Western violin, and I found it very different to the way I was learning Indian classical music, because with Western violin, or like Western music, you have sheet music with like your staves and your notes and all of that. And it was like a concept that was hard for me to grasp at first, because with Indian music, we wrote down stuff very little. Like the only things that we wrote down were maybe the words to any of the compositions we were learning. So yeah, so this music form is like passed on from ear. And an example of this you can see is that if you were to go to a concert of an Indian classical like music concert, you wouldn't see in this picture above, no one has any sheet music. So it's all like memorized or improvised. So most or all Western classical compositions are formally like written down using the staff notation, and performers have very little like latitude for improvisation. But the converse is the case with Indian classical music, because work is not strictly written down. And this teacher-student tradition of learning the Indian classical music leads to each performance being an improvisation of the students' interpretation of what they're being taught. So in the picture above, this is a picture of a very popular modern Indian classical singer called Kaushiki Chakraborty. And around her, there are some more instruments. So as you can see here, it's a bit small. I'm really sorry about that. But there is a tabla, and there are some more instruments on the side, which we'll come back to. But what I wanted to say was that how none of them have any like written work or pieces of paper in front of them. So they're all kind of going like improvising. So yeah, but notation, we do have a notation system, but we don't use this for performances. We only use this when learning, when we're writing things down. So for example, we write everything down in our like in the notation of like sa re ga, we write those words down. We wouldn't like use like dots on a stave and that kind of stuff. So the system we use today is called the Bhatkande Padhati, and it was created by Vishnu Narayan Bhatkande, but it is relatively new. And this is a picture depicting it. There are some words in Hindi, but I can still explain it to you. So pure notes are just they have nothing on it. So for example, if I was writing sa re ga, pure notes unchanged, so should natural, there's nothing on it. If they were flat notes, so if we have sa re ga and then sa re ga, then we would draw a line under it like that. Don't know if you can see that. Then a sharp note. In our system, the only sharp note that we have is ma madhyam, which is fa, I think. I can't remember what the word for the position in the scale is, but the only like sargam or like letter, I guess, you would have that sharpened is ma, and we draw a line on the top like that. So it's just as simple as that, I guess. Then we have a system for octaves as well. So the octave, there is nothing added to it. With the lower octave, so when it goes like down, we have, if I just have sa again, we draw a dot at the bottom like this. And if we have like the upper octave, then we have it written like this. We have a dot at the top. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's the basics of our notation system. Does anyone have any questions about this?
That looks really complex. So, do you on the system? Do you is this written on any kind of staff paper, or is it just on a regular piece of paper?
So yeah, you just write this on a regular piece of paper, like line paper, blank paper. Yeah, because you're not drawing anything. It's basically you're writing letters depicting the sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. So you're just drawing letters, and then you're drawing symbols around the letters to denote how they are to be performed. So that's why you don't really have anything too complex with that.
So would this go with syllables songs, or how? Like I'm visualizing how this would be used. Would it be purely instrumental to symbolize melody, or would it be how would you use it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we would use this mainly in melody, yes. So if I had a song, if I write a word, actually no, that's not a good idea. Here we go. So if I had these words, kaise kahu, kahu. So we wouldn't add the symbols here, but what we would do is underneath we would normally write how it's like the words. So for example, if we have kaise kahu, it's like sa and then ga ma ba. So when we're learning it, we will have the words and then we kind of have what notes denote each words underneath. And then to these melodies, to like so to these like so sa ga ma pa, to these we would add the symbol. So for example, sa, that's like low sa. So what I would do is I'd draw a dot to denote that it was like in the lower octave. But if it was like in the top octave, so like sa, then I'd draw like a dot here. So then I know that my first, so when I sing the word kaise, I know it starts from the top. So that's kind of how that works.
That's totally fascinating.
Is that cool?
Yeah, it's really cool. So this is a similar idea to guitar chord lead sheets, really, that you see with melodies. Yeah, yeah, like or ukulele or yeah. Nice.
Awesome. Are
Neat.
there any other questions or shall I continue?
Tucker.
So is this just
Awesome. Okay, I am going to continue then.
Oh, sorry.
Next up.
We have one.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
Go ahead.
is that like only used for like voice part writing or any other like lead melodies?
That's a good question. We would actually use this kind of thing for all instruments. We maybe for only for voice we would have like the lyrics as well with like Kaise Kahu, for example. That was my example. But if we were to have like other instruments like that are coming up, so one's called like harmonium or like a tanpura, not tanpura, like a sitar, then we would only have the like the sorghum, what we call, so like the melodic notes. We wouldn't have the like the lyrics unless you wanted to, of course, but you don't know, it'd just be the melody.
That's totally
Yeah.
fascinating. All right. Thank you. Any other
Okay.
questions? Okay. We have our computers out because we're taking notes, by the way. We don't want it appear.
Oh yeah, sure. Do you want me to like go back to any slides where you can take notes?
You guys good? All right.
Okay, yeah, I will just continue. So more instruments. So these instruments I'm going to show you, these are instruments that are used for melody. So the first one is called the harmonium. I think I mentioned that just now. This is like a keyboard which is powered by a bellow or like a pump. So what you would do is you'd normally be sitting on the floor or like cross-legged, and then it would be like a big box in front of you. So if I was like here now, the harmonium would probably be like maybe up to here. So so the keyboard would be there, and then I'd use one hand to play and I'd use another hand to pump the bellow, as you can see here. So I'd use one hand to pump and one hand to play. That's how that's the mechanism of the harmonium. It sounds like a keyboard, it sounds like an organ, I would say. That's the closest thing I can describe it to. And there are these stops, which you can pull and push out. these change the scales and the scale of the thing. So whether you were to start at like A sharp, or if your first note was to be A sharp, or your first note was to be like G, that kind of thing. And it also changes the dynamics as well. So whether you wanted it to be loud or soft. If you can see, there's like a cover here with lots of like intricate designs. What you can do is you can take that cover off, and what you will see is that if you went every time you were to press a key down, you would see another thing come up, and it's held kind of with like a wire. And if you wanted to, you could remove the wire, and that note would constantly play without you having to do anything. All you'd have to do is play, like pump the bellow. So that's the harmonium. This kind of this instrument is used both in Carnatic and Hindustani classical music. Then next we have the sarangi. So it's kind of like a violin, cello, string instrument. So you would hold it like this. So it's about this height, I'd say, like about that height. And you would hold it like this, and there are three main strings and the drone. I'll explain what the purpose of a drone is when we come to one of the instruments, because there's a very important instrument for that. I'll come to that. But there's a fourth string that acts as a drone, and it has three main instruments where you play your melody, and it kind of works like you press down the instrument, the string, and like a note plays. There is some tuning, like you can tune up on with these pegs. And then these pegs here, and then these pegs up here. So that's that. Next is the sitar. It looks similar to another instrument, which is this one. But you would hold it horizontally. It's quite big. I've seen one in real life. It's about, well, I don't think I'll be able to, it's quite big. It's kind of like that big. And it lies across your lap. So you have this end on one side, and you have this end on the other side, and you would pluck these strings, and it's kind of like a guitar, kind of. That's the closest instrument I can describe it to. Again, you would tune using these pegs, and traditionally, I've seen many performances where the players, they have to wear these special like rings or pegs on their fingers to help them pluck the strings with more ease. So it's kind of like how with guitars you have I don't know what it's called, but you have the little plastic pick, and then you strum with that. With with a sitar, you would have like little pointed like ring peg things on your fingers where you can like pluck the string, because you would pluck it across like that. So that's a tanpura, tabla. No, sorry, sitar. This is a sitar. Okay, this is a tanpura. This is one of the most important instruments because this provides the drone. So it contains 3 to 4 strings, and it plays only 3 notes. So that is sa, pa, and sa. So the lowest note, so the 2 tonics and the middle note. And this is used in performances and like practicing or learning, and this is used to keep your scale correct. So that they do work in the way that you can have like your scale would be A sharp, then the sa would be tuned to A sharp, or if your scale was G, you would have the you'd have the sa tuned to G. And in most rags, which if you remember, they were the basic framework they were a framework where you can build on compositions based on a scale. So in most rags, you would have your tanpura tuned to sa, pa, sa. So sa, pa, sa. So it'd go on and on and on like that. But with some rags, which you can have, which may omit some notes in the scale, this bar can sometimes be tuned to either ma or ni. So for example, if we have let me think. So we have a rag, say we go back to rag bilaval. So that was the rag where you have your scale with all of your notes natural. So sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So that's when your tanpura would be tuned to sa, pa, sa. But then if you were to have another rag, an example being Bhagyashree, that's another rag, and the scale is ni sa ga ma tha ni sa. This bar would be tuned to ma, not pa, and it would be tuned to ma because when I sung my scale, there's no pa in the scale at all. So that's why it would be tuned. So it just doesn't sound odd. But yeah, so the main thing to take away from this danpura is that it is used for it's used for keeping your scale intact. But yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Are there any questions?
That whole tuning thing is really fascinating. So you're basically taking different notes of your original scale, which is the sa, re, ga, ma, pa that you laid out, and you're using that drone instrument to create the tonic or the first scale
Yeah.
degree of a drone. But sometimes it's not on. Oh, thank you. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
So
just
sometimes
to
it's
help me.
not on
Yeah.
the sa. Sometimes you said it was on the ma. So you guys see that
Yes.
fourth scale degree. So you're going to create a drone that goes on the fourth scale degree, or sometimes you said the pa as well.
Mhm.
But you also mentioned. Did you mention the knee?
Yes, I did. So it can also go on the knee as well. It just depends on what notes are included in your scale that for your rug.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really. So yeah. So if you created a drone on the knee on the seventh on the leading tone, I'm just curious what that would sound like. Is there? Do you know if there's a musical example or a song I could listen to that's kind of based on the drone of the knee and the scale? Because it's really that's
I think so. I can see if I can get something up. I don't know any rugs that do use the knee when you have your um like scale without a certain note. I don't know any rugs like that, but yeah, there are many rugs. There are over like hundreds, maybe even thousands of rugs which we just don't know about, which all of which are quite old. Actually, they would have been created again around 12th, 16th century. So yeah, all of the stuff we is quite old. Yeah.
it's really cool. Do you guys maybe if you guys could ask her a few questions, that would be awesome.
I was confused on what a drone is exactly.
Sorry, could you repeat your question again? I didn't catch it.
I was confused on what a drone is. Do you think you could explain that again?
So, if I get a thing up to show you, so you would normally have your drone and like running in the background as you sing. Um, I'll see if I can get something up.
Yes, this came.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds.
No, no worries.
But yeah. Okay, here we go. Just give this 2 seconds to load up. Okay, here we go. So this is, well, let me turn that down. So this is what it would sound like. So if you can hear closely, so it says sa ba sa. So this is in the A sharp scale. So what you would do is with this drone, you would sing your like rug. So for example, I could do sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, and then I could sing a song, and then I would sing bit using this. What you find when you're teaching students for the first time. Oh, could you hear the dancer that I just played actually?
Uh, no. Let me see.
Ooh.
Let me see if
Actually,
permission. You should be able, yeah, when you share, if you check the box that says share sound, there might be a box at the bottom.
okay, yeah. Let me test this
So
out.
if you share your screen, there's
Sound. Yeah, here we go.
Yep. Oh,
Right, here we go. Now this is gonna work.
we'll wrap this up, you guys, okay?
Uh, there we go. Can you hear this?
No, that's okay.
Still no? Ah, God. This is annoying.
Yeah, that's okay. I can look up some examples of what a drone is. Uh,
Yeah,
I know
that
what
would
it,
be good. But yeah, if you just type in like Danpura, then and like click on the first YouTube video that comes up, then that's what you would. That's like good.
So just a last question for you. And I'll want to talk to Mrs. Paul at some point. I think it's so great. It's so great that you guys created this school. I'd love to learn more about it. But where is Watford? Where are you located?
Oh wow. So we're based in England, of course. We're based around. Okay, my geography is really bad, but it's around it's near London. It's on the outskirts of London, in the northwest of London. Yeah. So we've got quite good like accessibility and transport links and all that.
That's awesome. Well,
But yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to kind of wrap this up, but I just want to say thank you so much for your time and this really interesting presentation. This is obviously not enough time to really learn about this complex form of music theory. I mean, it is quite complex and really interesting. And thank you for exposing us to this and to doing this presentation for us today.
Thank you. If you want to do any further listening, I recommend a YouTube channel called Darbar, spelled Darbar. So they upload videos of like prominent Indian classical musicians, both Carnatic and Hindustani classical, and also they have some other styles as well, so from different parts of India as well, and they're really good. And with that you can get like like help to extend your understanding of what I've just told you now.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Wonderful. Well, this was really cool. Thank you to Mrs. Paul as well. Thank you to both of you. And let's give them one more round of applause. Yay!
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, we'll see you soon. We'll see you next class. Thank you so much. And this is such a interesting thing.
It's actually quite vast. It's very hard to put everything in half an hour, and
Oh
it
yeah,
is really vast.
yeah.
Because Indian classical music has two sections as well. It's Carnatic and Hindustani.
Yeah, I noticed that in the beginning, like there's
Oh.
two different types, and I'm sure they're very different from each
Very,
other.
very. And there's so much of theory to obviously, go
Yeah.
through. So it was a battle trying to push everything in half an hour.
No, half an hour is not enough time. Yeah, we should definitely do an hour long next time. But that gave us kind of a little taste of what this theory is like, and that it was just really interesting, and again a very complex
It
form,
is complex.
very
It is
complex
very
form,
complex.
and I'm definitely interested in learning more about it. And thank you, yeah, thank you so much. And how long has your music school been in operation for?
It's been about so I've been teaching for a long time, and so now this has become bigger. It's gone into classical dancing.
Oh, wow.
So we do classical dance forms, yes, Indian classical, South Asian classical dance forms, and it's over 6 years now.
5 to 6 years, and you created this to help promote kind of exploration of your culture in England. Is that?
Yes, that's
so
right.
cool.
So it's I mean, I work for the council anyways. I mean, I work for the local government, and yeah, there's lots of South Asian people here, but obviously the facility to bring the literature and music and dance wasn't really here. So we just thought, and then it just grew without me even understanding where the time went.
How exciting! What a great opportunity for you. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. This lovely, yes,
Yeah, sorry, my name is Shreya.
Shren. Well, Shreya. So are you is there a family relation here at all, or are you a student?
No, she's one of our senior students, and she's also a trainee teacher now.
That's awesome. I love it. You did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Well, ladies, I'm going to have to go, but thank you again. This was really, really neat.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Karen.
you so much for having us.
I will tell Maya that you said hello. She's singing tonight, and I'm playing piano for her, so wish me luck.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll try to tape it and send it your way so you can see it. And I will save this and also send it to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Shreya,
Bye.
thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Karen.